In the final days of World War II, when Nazi Germany was collapsing under the weight of the Allied advance, a small medieval castle deep in the Austrian Alps became the stage for one of the most unbelievable battles in military history, a battle where American soldiers and German soldiers stood side by side, fighting together against the SS. This is the real story of Castle Itter, the strange and desperate last stand that defied all logic, all alliances, and everything we think we know about the Second World War. The story begins in May 1945. Hitler was dead. Berlin had fallen. German units were surrendering everywhere. But the SS, the most fanatical branch of the Nazi regime, refused to accept defeat. Many SS units went rogue, turning into roaming bands of killers determined to destroy anything and anyone they saw as traitors. Castle Itter, a centuries-old stone fortress near the town of Wurgl, was being used by the Nazis as a prison for extremely high-profile French VIPs. These weren't ordinary prisoners of war. They included former prime ministers, generals, political leaders, and prominent figures of the Third French Republic. Among them were Paul Renault, Edouard Daladier, General Maurice Gamelin, and even Charles de Gaulle's sister. The prisoners lived in relative comfort compared to most camps, but they were still prisoners, and they knew the SS would kill them once Germany fell. As the Reich collapsed, the guards at Itter fled, leaving the prisoners alone. But freedom didn't come. The roads were filled with retreating SS units, and the prisoners feared that the SS would storm the castle and execute them before the Americans arrived. Desperate, one of the prisoners managed to escape the castle and find help. He reached a group of Austrian resistance fighters who were already fighting against the last SS loyalists in the region. They understood immediately the castle needed rescuing, fast. Through a chain of desperate encounters, messages, and pure luck, the resistance reached Major John C. Act Jack Lee, Jr., an American tank commander from the 23rd Tank Battalion. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. VIP French prisoners trapped in a castle, surrounded by SS? It sounded like a legend, not a real military situation. But Jack Lee didn't hesitate. He gathered a tiny force, just a handful of American infantrymen, one Sherman tank, and what few supplies they had. It should have been impossible, but he went anyway. Meanwhile, something even more shocking was happening. A German Wehrmacht officer named Josef Gangl, who had secretly been helping the Austrian resistance, decided to join the Americans. He and his remaining loyal soldiers defected on the spot. Their enemy was no longer the Americans. It was the SS fanatics closing in. So on May 4, 1945, American soldiers and German Wehrmacht soldiers drove together toward Castle Itter as allies. When they reached the fortress, they were greeted by astonished French prisoners who had never imagined they would be rescued by such an unlikely coalition. Jack Lee deployed the Sherman tank, nicknamed Besotten Jenny, at the castle gate and prepared his men for what he knew was coming. As night fell, the SS arrived. It began with scattered rifle fire from the tree line. Then heavier weapons joined in. The SS launched a full assault, determined to kill every prisoner and execute any Germans who had turned against Hitler. They outnumbered the defenders by nearly 10-1. Inside the castle, American GIs, German Wehrmacht troops, Austrian resistance fighters, and French VIP prisoners, some of whom had never held a rifle in their lives, prepared to make their stand. Paul Renault, former Prime Minister of France, ran ammunition. General Gamelin, once blamed for losing France, now helped defend the courtyard. Even a tennis champion among the prisoners took up arms. On the front line, the Sherman tank Jenny fired repeatedly, holding off the attacking SS. But the tank soon became the main target. Under heavy fire, its armor was pierced, and it was destroyed. With their only armored support gone, the defenders had to fall back deeper into the castle. The SS pressed harder. Bullets shattered stone walls. Grenades exploded in the courtyard. Under the moonlight, the defenders fought room to room, wall to wall, refusing to fall. Major Gangl, the German officer who had joined the Americans, rushed forward to pull a French prisoner out of sniper fire. A single shot killed him instantly. He died saving the people he had once been ordered to imprison. Today, he's remembered as an Austrian national hero. As dawn approached, the defenders were nearly out of ammunition. The SS prepared for a final assault. If they broke through, everyone in the castle would be slaughtered. At the last possible moment, the sound of engines echoed through the valley. American reinforcements, a full armored column, had arrived. The SS, outnumbered and outgunned, fled into the mountains. The battle for Castle Itter was over. A small stone fortress in Austria had become the site of one of the only battles in history where American and German soldiers fought side by side. The prisoners were freed. The defenders survived, except for Major Gangl, whose sacrifice became a symbol of moral courage in the final days of the war. In the years after the conflict, the story of Castle Itter remained little known, overshadowed by larger battles and grander events. But today, historians recognize it as one of the most extraordinary episodes of World War II, a moment where, for a few hours, the chaos of war dissolved into a strange alliance forged not by politics, but by humanity. The battle for Castle Itter reminds us that even in the darkest moments of history, people can choose honor over cruelty, courage over obedience, and dignity over fear. You've been watching W2 War Files, where the forgotten stories and hidden battles of World War II come back to life. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. And let us know in the comments, what would you have done inside Castle Itter that night?